I am now in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. It is home to Kebatinan, which is unique to Javanese wisdom and mysticism that is known as kejawen. Far from being a formalized religion, kejawen embraces the cultural beliefs, lifestyle, and spiritual guidance of Java. It is the aim of every Javanese to be wise, psychic, perfect, and to finally unite with the universal spirit. Javanese mysticism. It has evolved from a basic animistic and solitary meditative practice to gain that inner self, to modernization where people perhaps are looking for quick fixes. So my question, can the essence of Java mysticism sustain modernization and commercialization? To the Javanese, the world of spirits is not separated from the physical reality that we live in. Communing and working closely with spirits that are found in nature, like in the mountains and the sea, form part of their mystical practices. To understand this belief better, I am going to speak to a Belgian anthropologist and practitioner of Java mysticism, Patrick van Hobrak. The one thing that caught my attention was this Kebatinan, which I understand as inner transformation of some sort, yeah? And this strong sentiment on communicating with spirits.
Yes, so through austerity practices, ascetic practices, meditational techniques, fasting, and you start to know your energy body. Now, when you get to the astral level, you start being on the same plane as spirits and subtle beings. Whether the goal is higher, because the highest spirit would be God. You're going to, whether you want or not, come across other sources of basically communicating with other sources, other beings. Why is it for the Javanese not a contradiction, Kebatinan spirituality and spirits? Because certain spirits are representing the word of God in the name of the form of ancestors, higher ancestors, which are considered enlightened beings.
I mean, the world may be materialistic, but we need to see it in a way that when we have got materialism, you will automatically get mysticism. Because when you're materialistic, after a while you realize that you can never ever be satisfied. That's when you start going inward. How do these stories change behaviors? You cannot expect the regular Joe or the regular Jane to understand mysticism. It's just too deep. You want people to do good, you have stories telling them to do good, to help the whole community, and they just follow.
Going beyond stories that inspire, mysticism manifests physically in practices such as martial arts through feats of indestructibility known as Debus, which is more than just a circus act. Mas Joko, an accomplished Javanese spiritual master and martial art practitioner, will demonstrate to us the power of Debus. Mas Joko, can you explain to me what is Debus and why do people practice Debus?
Sebenarnya Debus itu dibagi dua.
Debus is governed by two principles. One, it is for invincibility. It is used to protect ourselves, but it is not meant to show off one's ability. Many say that Debus relies only on physical strength and action.
bukan untuk satu pertunjukan.
It is not an
tapi
entertainment,
untuk satu
but a
fondasi
strong
yang kuat
potential
dalam
in
diri kita
ourselves,
sebagai
whereby we
kekuatan.
live our life
Itu
based
kita
on
tahu
knowing what
tentang
is
arti
right
salah
from
dan
wrong,
benar,
and
dan
as
kita
such
pasti
we are
berani
brave to
menghadapi
face
sesuatu
the
yang
truth.
benar.
What is the relationship? What is the connection between Debus and Kebatinan?
Kalau indera keenam,
Kebatinan awakens the sixth sense in us so that we can feel that there is a spiritual dimension that draws us away from the physical worlds, which are driven by lust and desires. Then we are more peaceful. Through Debus, we experience the spiritual energy of the sixth sense.
Mystics will choose certain sacred spots to do their trainings and meditations to enhance their experiences and power. In Yogyakarta, two favorite locations are at the volcanic site in the north, Mount Merapi, and at the southern beach, the home of Ratu Kido, both symbolizing the father and mother elements. And interestingly, the royal palace of Yogyakarta is built right in the middle of this axis of power.
The yin and the yang, the two extremes, trying to find the middle point where the balance of both is cornered and controlled. So this is what was replicated in a later time, also including with Sufism and in the Mataram kingdom. Fire is always related to a male entity. Water is related to a female entity. This is the palace of the humans. These are two spirit palaces. So there's a palace in the sea. I will tell you, a lot of mystics here on the mountain where we are sitting now, on the Merapi, some of them see not a mountain, but they see a hierarchy of buildings with a palace on the top.
Practitioners of Java mysticism also work with the fire element as part of their training of indestructibility. Does this have anything to do with the male energy as represented by the volcanic lava and heat of Mount Merapi?
Its physical shape is a mountain, but from a spiritual point of view, it is actually a keraton or a palace. When it erupts, it is actually building something. Well, if you take the mountain as a palace, then it means that the palace building is being expanded.
Merapi indeed blesses us. It provides us with clear water, fertile soil, it gives us sand and stones. But if we are not careful, this will be disastrous because Merapi's yard should not be ruined. It goes back to the understanding that the world has given us enough, but for a greedy man it will never be enough. That is why Merapi is not happy with a greedy man.
As for why people here do not want to leave Mount Merapi, it is because the mountain is a spiritual palace. It provides protection, it fulfills our complete needs for the living in this world. We are more prosperous living here than anyone else.
So far, I find that the practice of mysticism in Java relates strongly to nature and the environment that the people lived in. The great Mount Merapi is perhaps personified as a male spiritual palace for the community to understand its wrathfulness during each eruption. In the next segment, we will visit the home of Ratu Kido in the Southern Sea and learn about her mystical powers over the people of Java.
Ratu Kido, whose palace is in the Southern Sea in the Indian Ocean. When she comes to our palace, we will prepare offerings and ceremonies for her.
After visiting the male element that is seated on Mount Merapi, I am here at Pantai Parangtritis, home of the Southern Queen, Ratu Kido. Today is a holy day known as Malam Jumaat Kliwon, whereby many Kebatinan practitioners, spiritualists and seekers come to pray and make offerings to the Queen herself, a practice that is still diligently observed until today. Romo Jalati is the Juru Kunci or key custodian of the southern beach, Parangtritis, who is said to have offered many prayers to Ratu Kido. In these 50 years of serving in your position and looking after this place, Have you ever seen Ratu Kido, or has she ever given you direct signs of her presence?
Kalau melihat langsung,
Because Ratu Kido is a spirit, so it is not easy to see her directly. But I can meet her spiritually through meditation, asking for her blessings for me to do my duties as a key keeper.
itu kan namanya saya
What I do here is that I assist the visitors, people wanting to pray, asking for her blessings. When we ask for something, some may be granted, some may not. It is not spontaneous.
It's not possible to ask for something concrete. Perhaps after 50 years, it is just pure faith. Dr. Argo, would it be accurate to say that the spirit of Ratu Kido played an important part from the beginning of the Mataram Kingdom until today?
Untuk orang Jawa,
In the eyes of the Javanese, the southern sea is extremely vast. While the ruler is powerful, it is a representation of a divine power or the power of the surrounding environment, something that can communicate with them. That is why they pray for protection or to ask for something from it.
What is the role of Ratu Kido in the essence of Kebatinan?
orang Jawa
The
kan
Javanese world treats both the physical realm and the spiritual realm alike. It does not discriminate. The key principle is that the two realms should be in harmony. This is the core of Kebatinan.
Kebatinan
Kebatinan is the belief of the Javanese in supernatural or spiritual beings and objects. It is part of the local culture and practices.
Do you mind if I ask you to open your bandana to check your head? You hit here? Not a single mark, and we're talking about a pretty serious break here. As explained by Dr. Argo, Kebatinan is a Javanese spiritual practice that harmonizes both the material and the spiritual worlds. And as witnessed through this act of invincibility known as Debus, it shows that the younger generation is still keen to learn this art that involves the ancient practices of Kebatinan, internal strength, and spiritual trainings. What's the meaning of the story between Ratu Kido and the first Mataram king, Senopati?
pertemuan antara
The union of Penambahan Senopati with Ratu Kido symbolizes the meeting of two worlds, the mortal physical realm in which Penambahan Senopati lived in, and the spiritual realm where Ratu Kido resided. Such meetings would result in great occurrences, and it is believed that those who could experience these meetings were people of great power.
This belief is clearly reflected in the Javanese culture for the royal family of Solo that is part of the Mataram kingdom. According to the princess Gusti Kanjeng Ratu Wandansari, the mystical spirit queen of the southern sea, Ratu Kido, is actually the spiritual power of the royal palace.
Keraton Surakarta.
For the Keraton Surakarta or the Solo royal family, it holds a special duty bestowed by the founder of Mataram Kingdom, Penambahan Senopati, who is directly connected to the Queen of the Sea.
Itu Saka Dumas Bali Kencana.
According to our beliefs, Ratu Kido, whose palace is in the Southern Sea in the Indian Ocean, she will visit us here anytime. When she comes to our palace, we will prepare offerings and ceremonies for her.
It is interesting to note that not only do the royal families regard Ratu Kido as a power source, and she is seen as the spiritual wife of the Mataram kings of Yogyakarta and Solo, even the then President Sukarno claimed that Ratu Kido was his spiritual companion. Until today, specific rooms in some hotels and resorts are kept vacant for Sukarno and his spirit queen. These rooms are decorated in green and filled with an elaborate Ratu Kido shrine. The same applies to palaces whereby special chambers are reserved for the meeting and union between the current king and Ratu Kido.
One of the buildings behind me is known as Panggung Sangga Buwana. and it is the meeting place for the Surakarta king and Ratu Kidul. Many rituals are observed during this ceremony to ensure that the government achieves success and peace. Ratu Kidul will manifest as a spiritual wife to the lineage of King Senopati right until the current ruler Sultan Paku Buwono Hanggabehi XIII. This becomes a symbol of confidence to the people of Jawa.
A person who is sincere when asking for blessings will be protected by Ratu Kidul and God. We generally believe that all offerings have a certain blessings.
Debus is used to protect ourselves, but it is not meant to show off one's ability.
Some of them see not a mountain, but they see a hierarchy of buildings with a palace on the top.
Merapi indeed blesses us.
When I was at the southern beach, I also paid my respect to Ratu Kidul. Something unexpected happened as I was making offerings to the Divine Mother of the Sea.
Earlier, when I made my offerings to the Queen of the Southern Sea, as the waves were taking it away and it brought back, you were taking things. What were you doing?
I am seeking for blessings by picking a particular type of flower known as the champaka or the magnolia, with the hope that I would receive blessings for me and my family.
Why do you not make offerings yourself? Why do you pick up offerings of other people?
I strongly believe that people can ask for blessings from Ratu Kidul by giving the offerings through labuhan, but we can also receive the extra blessings by picking up the offerings from others that are stronger and more positive.
What if the person making the offering is having negative thoughts? Are you not going to pick up double negative?
A person who is sincere when asking for blessings will be protected by Ratu Kidul and God. We generally believe that all offerings have a certain blessings. However, if a person has negative thoughts when making an offering, well, we will leave it to Ratu Kidul whom we have faith in to help us.
I made an offering and it was between me and Ratu Kidul, and it's mine, but yet right in front of me they are receiving back. It really doesn't make sense, and probably it doesn't make sense to many of you too, but I guess it makes sense for them. In many ways, it's just left to faith and deep belief.
Is Ratu Kidul real, as in a person, a princess, or is she a legendary, perhaps even paranormal existing spirit?
In the context of Javanese culture, she is real. The many different versions of stories emerged as people have different experiences concerning spirituality. Also, the stories differ because they were told only in spoken language. In the eyes of the Javanese, she is not only a legend. Modern or academic perspectives may find it hard to understand this.
Watching demonstrations like Debus can easily mislead the viewers to think that such acts are pure entertainment and not sincere practices of mysticism for spiritual growth. Especially when the worship of Ratu Kidul can appear to be unsubstantiated and superstitious. But when we probe a little deeper, we might start to understand that it could be otherwise.
Ever since I was 9 years old, I was attracted to the unseen and the unknown. I am 46 now. The true teacher or guru exists inside of you. That is the best. And I also learn from my experiences. Until today, I'm still learning.
I am very appreciative of the people and Mas Joko who have come together this evening to show us a traditional practice called Debus, which works towards that inner discipline and towards achieving that inner control and also development towards a higher level. I am not in a position to judge the accuracy or to judge the faith behind something that has been practiced for a long time. But from my observations, there are some particular actions that give me, as an observer, some skepticism, and it's only natural.
I personally think that in this modern materialistic era, Javanese beliefs can still survive, but it may provide answers for questions that the modern age could not answer. Of course, the materialistic world may exploit these beliefs. However, the Palace of Yogyakarta has also taken efforts to bring Javanese mysticism back to life again, through maintaining the harmony between the physical and spiritual realms. This is the spirit of Java that continues to survive even in this modern age.
Mysticism in Java is still indeed a part of their daily lives. Whether it is to pursue inspiration, aspiration, connecting with nature, calling on the powers of the universal energies. Whatever it may be, it is still very apparent. Although I would observe that it is slightly diluted, but I don't see it as entertainment, but perhaps a way for people to hold on to history, culture, and unity among communities.